Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to learn to read and write Hindi. We are also here because we want to read and write Urdu. We are doing both at the same time. Today is our lesson number 34. In the first 33 days, we have covered essentially everything that I wanted to cover, the basic concepts, the matras, and some basic concepts in Urdu like tashdid and nun guna. Starting from today, starting from day number 34, we're going to start writing some things, some phrases, some sentences, and we'll practice our writing, and we'll also expand our vocabulary. We'll learn some new words, and in the process we will also practice our writing. Let's begin, shall we? Today we're going to tell a story about a young lady, who had intoxicating eyes. Her eyes were absolutely intoxicating. You look at her eyes and you feel tipsy. You feel like you're drunk. Let's begin, shall we? Before we get into the story, there are some words that we have to learn, 2 or 3 words that I want to talk about first before we begin the story, shall we? Here's the first one, because these are going to come handy in a second. Let's learn the first word. There is a na, which is very straightforward. Then we have a z, but z that we have here is zoi. This is called zoi. We have learned this thing. There is nothing that we're going to do here that we have not learned before. Zoi. Don't confuse zoi with z. Both of these pronounce the z sound, the English letter z, or as American call it, z. Zoi and z. Zoi comes right after toi. We have right here is a z. As a matter of fact, there are 4 different z's in Urdu language, as you can see there. And in Hindi, you only have one z. So whether this appears, this comes after dal, zal. This is called zal. You see, I had to say it in sequence to remember what this is called. It comes right after dal, which is the d. Dal, zal. This is called re, ze. This is called ze. Re is r, ze, which is this one. Then we have swad and zuad. This is also z. And then we have toi and zoi. Toi makes a t sound and zoi makes a z sound. We have 4 different z's in Urdu language. The writer has to know which is the proper one to employ in order for the spelling to be correct. But if you're writing in Hindi, you don't have to deal with any of this nonsense because you make do with just one. And even that one is improvised because Hindi doesn't actually have a z, which is why we write a j and put a dot under it to remind ourselves that this is not a j, this is a z. That's what we're going to use here. So here we're not using ze, we're not using zal, we're not using zuat, we are using zoi, toi, zoi. That's the correct spelling. Na, z. Oh, and the next letter that we have to write in the spelling, we have to employ a concept that we learned on day number 29 and day number 30, a concept called tashdid. Tashdid looks like this. Tashdid is used when the word is repeated. Not the word rather, a letter is repeated. Here, z is going to be repeated. The first time it's going to be half a z, second time it's going to be full z. So we don't need a full z here. This first one is going to be half a z, and then we need another z. And we dot it into here. And then aki matra. So this is z. So the first part is going to be read as nuz, because z is joined with noon, nuz. Second part would be joined the alif, a. Nazza, nuz, sa, and then a ra. Nazara. Nazara. In Urdu, it ends with a h for some strange reason, as we have talked about it many times. There are many words in Urdu language which end with the correct spelling requires the use of a he. This he right here, we have 4 different he's. Badi he, these 2 are called choti he, and then do chashmi he. This is the he we're using here. Nazara. Do you know what nazara means? Let's first finish writing it in Hindi. Nazara. Oh, we finished it. Nazara. Nazara means sight, a view, a vista. a scenery. That means nazara. The plural would be nazare or nazaron. Nazare. So if you want to do nazare, the plural, you get rid of the he, nazare, it becomes nazare. Like this, with a nun gunna. Nun gunna is also something that we learned just yesterday and day before yesterday, which is why I wanted to cover this concept, because these concepts appear many times in Hindi writing and in Urdu writing. Nazare, which is a plural, which simply means scenery in plural, vistas. Do you understand? Let's do one more. The next word is going to be very simple. It only has 3 letters and it has no matra. No matras at all. No, then a z, and then r. Again, noon, zoi, and a re. When you put them together, it looks like this. Nazar. Nazar means look, glance, sight, vision. I'm going through all this thing for a reason, because, as I said, they will come in handy in a second. The plural would be nazre. Nazre. And you will, in Hindi, you will simply put a eki matra and put a dot here to remind ourselves that it has a nun gunna, a nun without a dot in. Nun, this is called nun gunna. We learned it yesterday, day before yesterday. We did 3 days on it. Make sure you watch the videos in sequence. Day number 33, 32, and 31, that's what we did. We did the concept of something called nun gunna. Nazre. Nazre means look. Let's learn the next word. Now we can begin our story. So what we're talking about right now, in the context of what we're talking about, the first word does not come into play here. Nazara is not something we're going to talk about. I just put it there so that you don't confuse. Nazara and nazar, those are 2 different words. Nazara is a scenery. Nazar is a look. Look, glance, sight, vision. Those are very different words. Nazar and nazara. You see? They're very different words. What we're going to talk about is this word. Let's learn the very first word that is going to play a key role in our story. The word is, again, this word happens to have 3 letters with no matra at all, none whatsoever, just 3 letters. Mim, and then a sa, seen, and then a ta. What does it read? It reads must. That's how we say it, must. Let's put them together. So we're done with this nazare. Remember the nazare? We'll talk about that in a second. Must. What does must mean? What do you think it means? So when we write it, when it's written together, the meme takes this shape, the scene is going to take this shape, and then the ta. That's what it is. We have to put them together. Must. There we go. Must. Must means a drunk. A person who is drunk. Person who is intoxicated. Person who is inebriated. It can also mean somebody who is full of lust. Lustful. I'm going to put down the pronunciation of this particular word. The first syllable is la. La, safe, e, us. Lascivious. Lascivious means lustful. When you're looking at a female in a very lustful, in a very sexual way, that's called must. Must nazar. Must nazre. Get it? Must nazre. Lustful eyes. Lustful eyes would be must aankhe. Must nazre. You're looking at somebody in a very lustful manner. Must. From the must, we have the word, if you continue with this thing, must. So that's must mean. That means intoxicated. Let's learn the next word. Meme, seen, ta, masta, and then na, mastana. Mastana means person who is intoxicated. Mastana is the person. Mastana is an intoxicated person. Person who is drunk. Mastana. The plural would be mastane or mastano. Mastane, I'm not going to write everything down, or mastane. In the state of being drunk, intoxication is called, and then te and a badi ki matra. Masti. You will write it like this. 2 for the scene, 1 more for the te, and then the choti here. Masti. The scene that you see here with 2 loops can also be written as like this. M, and then you're going to have one big one for these 2 small ones. Sometimes people are lazy, they want to make 2 small ones, so they make one big one, and then a small one for a te, and then this. Masti. Masti means intoxication. Masti. I'm sure you've heard of somebody called Nusrat. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan is a very famous Qawwali singer. He's deceased now. I'm going to actually put down here, if you're interested. And I will not leave you in the comment a link that has a full version, because that's a very long one. I'm going to leave you a link for a short version, which is only 5 minutes long, on YouTube. Search for this thing. मस्त नजरों से अल्लाह बचाए. When he's talking about mast nazron, he's talking about this must that we just learned. Must is intoxicating. Those eyes, when you look at her, when you gaze at her eyes, the guy becomes drunk, he becomes tipsy. That's how beautiful they are. What he's talking about is mast nazron se Allah bachaye. Mast nazron se Allah. Just type in this part and you will find the video right away, and I'll also leave you a link. It's 5 minutes long. That's what he's talking about, mast nazre. When he's talking about mast nazre, this is the word. Must, we just learned it. Let's begin. If we did not understand these basic words here, then the story that we're about to tell would be pointless, would be useless, because it's about her eyes. They're intoxicating. They are mesmerizing. One goes into trance. I'm not going to write all the words here, because otherwise we'll be here forever doing the English word. Trance, if you don't know, look it up. Here we go. Here's the first line. There are 16 lines. There are 16 lines in this story. I wanted to do all of this in one shot, but I'm looking at the clock. I've already spent 10 minutes talking about this and that. I'm going to do 4 lines at a time, because if I try to do all 16 lines in one video, it'll be very long. It'll bore the pants off you. And also because I don't want to do a cursory job. If you don't know what this word means, look it up, cursory. The verb would be cursorily. A cursory job is where one does something for the sake of saying that I did it. That's all. That's all it is. You don't do a good job. You do something because you were told to do something. That's it. I don't want to do a cursory job. We're going to do a good job. We're going to do a thorough job. Because obviously I'm doing this thing because I'm not getting anything out of it. I just enjoy it. I want to learn. I want to learn the language properly. Do you understand? As Americans would say, in the US, they have a saying, don't do a half-assed job. Do a proper job of it. Don't do a cursory job. Here we go. Here's the first line. So we're just going to do four lines, and that's it in this video. We'll do 4 in each video, as I said. Alif and a zer. Zer, as we know, gives us choti e ki matra. So alif with a zer becomes e. In. This word that we're going to write, We learned it yesterday, we learned it the day before yesterday, and the day before that when we learned the concept of nun gunna, which is why I wanted to cover these concepts. Nun gunna. Of course, equivalent concept exists in Hindi, which we'll see in a second. So here's the word. A, no, and then a kh. As you can see, there is no such word in Hindi. There is no such word as aankh. Nor is any word in Hindi language which would read aankh. This will read aankh. You will pronounce the n. That's not what we're looking for. The n here is very nasalized. It's very nasalized, and when that happens, in Hindi we do not write the n. We just put it a symbol. It looks like a moon with a dot in it. And now it's no longer an. It's no longer an. It is aankh. Aankh as in eye. Aankh. In Urdu, it will be still like this. You still have to write the entire n. In Urdu, you still have to write the entire n. But to tell the reader that it's not to be pronounced as n, is to be pronounced ang together. To tell the reader that that's the case, you put a small symbol here, like this. I'm repeating all of these things that we've done already before, as I said, in the last 3 days. And when you put them together, it looks like this. Aankh. That's how we write aankh. What we're looking for is aankhon, plural. Aankhon. Aankh. And then a vowel. That gives us a kho. That's an oki matra. The vowel gives us the oki matra. And then is the nun gunna. So you put a dot. In aankhon, की मस्ती के, इन आँखों की मस्ती के. We have already learned how to write these words, so there's no point on explaining it. In aankhon ki masti ke, in aankhon ki masti ke, this intoxication of these eyes. Then she goes on to say, in aankhon ki masti ke. Let me first start doing Urdu. I find more comfortable writing the Urdu first, because I know Urdu a little bit better. Ma, sa, ta, ne. Mastane. Mastane is the plural of mastan. Mastana. Mastane. In aankhon ki masti ke mastane. Let's put them together. Ma, sa, ta, ne. Next word. Her. This is this right here. Her. Then we have a ze. We talked about ze a little while ago. Somewhere here, right here, ze. We don't need a ze, we need a za. Put a dot to remind yourself that it's a z and not a j. Haza. Then we have a ro. But it's not hazaro, it's hazaron. You see, it's not hazaro, it's hazaron. It has a nasal sound at the end. Hazaron. In Urdu, you write nun gunna. In Hindi, you'll simply put a dot to remind you. This nun gunna right here, this thing, is represented in Hindi with this dot. Let's put them together. Ha, za, ro. Mastane hazaron. The last word. Her. We don't need a her. We need a he. He would be this badi hai. That gives us eki matra. That makes a he. But we don't want a hai, we want a badi hai ki matra. So we need to put a zabar on top of it. It's still not done. It's not hai, it's hain. It's not hai, it's hain. You see the nasalized N sound at the end? You do that by putting a dot here. Hain. And here you put nun gudna. Let's put this part together. This is hain. Let's put it together here. And as you know, whether it's choti hai or badi hai, when it appears in the middle, it takes this shape. This shape right here. So far it says hey. So far is written, what you see there so far, what we see there so far is this. We don't need hey, we need a badi hai ki matra. We put a zabar, it becomes badi hai ki matra. And when we put a nun gunna, it becomes hain. Hey, badi hai ki matra, hain. In aankhon ki masti ke mastane hazaron. There are thousands of intoxicated people who are lustful, who are intoxicated by these eyes. Let's do the next line. I shouldn't try to translate every single word literally because I don't do a very good job of it, and also because it kills the poetry so much. In aankhon ki masti ke mastane hazaron. In aankhon ki masti ke mastane hazaron hai. Next word. In aankhon, just erase all of this thing. We have to learn a new word before we can continue. The word is this. This is the wow. Wow here. As you know, wow is used in Urdu for o ki matra, both choti o ki matra and badi o ki matra. But if wow were used here as o ki matra, there would have to be something in the front. Like a be and a wow will make it bo. Bo. If you want a badi o ki matra, you'll put a zabar on it. Bo. Obviously there's nothing in front of it. It's just being used as a letter. Wow, va, that's all it is. It's being used here as a letter, not as a matra. Va. We don't need a va, we need a wa. Wa. Then we have a ba. Then we have so. Then we have a se and a he. In Urdu, it will end with a ha, even though in Hindi you will end it with a a ki matra. That's exactly what it is, but for some strange and inexplicable reason, a lot of words in Urdu end with a ki matra, but the correct spelling requires ha. It reads wabasta. Wabasta. Let's put it together. Wa, this is a ba, this is a sa, and then you put another one for ta, and then you go like this. This part that you see there, it appears like that. That's this part. Wabasta. Wabasta. I have to keep looking at my note here. I keep looking at my notes because, as I have told you many times, I'm here to learn. I'm not here to teach. In aankhon se wabasta. In aankhon se wabasta. In aankhon se wabasta. The word we have to learn. Alif, a, then we have a fe. Fe. This fe is letter F. In Urdu, we have two ways you can produce a F sound, just like in English. Just like in English, we have PH, which is a F. If you want to write phone, or the physician, you would not spell it with an F, obviously. Correct spelling calls for P and H. Phone, telephone. Just like in Urdu, you would put a P and a H next to it. Make it F. This F that you see here, The exact equivalent of this one in Hindi is this. This is the exact equivalent. F does not exist in Hindi. So what we do is, any spelling that calls for an F in the spelling, what they do is they improvise. They write the F, they write the fur, and put a little dot underneath to remind ourselves that this is, we're talking about fe. The word we're going to write next requires fe. Af, sa. The rest is very easy. Ne, afsane. Let's put it in Urdu, shall we? इन आँखों से वाबस्ता अफसाने so far that is अफसाने. See this part that I just wrote it like this. Technically it's supposed to be, there's a loop here for na and then a badi hai. But most people don't bother. We just write it like this and put a dot. अफसाने. That's a ne. अफसाने हजारों है. We already did हजारों है, so we have to worry about how to write it. हजारों हैं. What does it read? इन आँखों से वाबस्ता अफसाने हजारों. Oh, I have never explained what wabasta means and what afsane means. Wabasta means related, connected, bound together. Wabasta means having to do it. Wabasta means having to do it. I was about to start again my same thing about writing everything in English on the blackboard. It takes too long. Wabasta means having to do it. What is afsane? Afsane is our stories, tales. इन आँखों से वाबस्ता हजारों इन आँखों से वाबस्ता हजारों इन आँखों से वाबस्ता अफसाने हजारों. There are thousands of stories that have been told about my eyes. There are thousands of stories that have been written about my eyes. That's it. That was the fourth line. Let me read all four lines together. इन आँखों की मस्ती के मस्ताने हजारों. There are thousands of people who are intoxicated, who have been intoxicated by my eyes. इन आँखों से वाबस्ता अफसाने हजारों. There are thousands of stories that have been told, there are thousands of stories that have been written about my eyes. I'm going to stop right here. We'll do the next video in the next four line. Hopefully the next four line will go a little bit faster. Okay? Bye now.